And we also learned some of them were doing things that were so simple that anyone else can do them. We started thinking about access to higher education. And we do know that, especially for many students further some opportunity, financial aid is a key way in which a key process to help students to have access to and succeed and remain in higher education. And so we looked for a key choke point, a real intractable problem. And we thought about the financial aid paperwork. So the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA, to look to that, because in the news, we had seen a lot of coverage noting that the completion rate had dropped, and this can really spell disaster for low-income students if they're not able to get financial aid. So we started there. What can we understand about that piece? So just as a thought exercise with our students, we said, well, let's imagine that we're just a consortium of 5 schools. Let's keep it really small. And they all wanted to get every single student to complete the FAFSA. And let's say we went out and collected those data about the current completion rate. And we saw data such as these. So we saw the split. Now, initially at the beginning of the class, we'd ask our students, what should we do? Where should we go first? What should we focus on? And they all said, oh, we should go to that school where it's only 14% completion rate, because we need to figure out what's going wrong there and help them. But then again, we tried the exact opposite. It goes, well, what if we went to the school with 85% and learned what's going well there? So what are the success stories that we can learn from this other community? So that's what we did with our students. And so we, the next slide. Thanks. Oh, so then we actually collected the data. And so we worked with a bunch of schools in Southern California, just starting somewhere. We actually broke them out between small schools and large schools, just because there seemed to be some big differences there. And we just asked, what's the completion rate for the FAFSA? And so you can see them on the vertical axis. This is the percent of completion rate. And you can see that there's a spread, that there are some schools getting more, some students getting fewer students to complete the FAFSA. We did a statistical analysis here, and it's called a P chart. You don't need to worry about the details, but you can see those ones that are above that top dotted line, like that are circled in red, those are the outliers. Like something is happening there where they're able to get more of their students to complete the FAFSA. And so our students went out to these schools to find well, what are you doing? And the remarkable thing, the schools that's getting those high returns, some of them had no idea, just as Devin said, that they were doing any better than anybody else. They go, oh, you mean everybody doesn't get 80% of the students to complete it? That's an aha. And we also learned some of them were doing things that were so simple that anyone else can do them. So for example, one school, what they were doing is they were just backing up the deadline. The deadline for the FAFSA is June 30th every year. And as you know, that's school's already out for the academic year. It's hard to catch up with students. So they were just backing up the deadline. They told the kids the FAFSA deadline was end of April 30th. And so they had a chance to catch all those kids who didn't complete it. And so they have a chance to get them to turn it in before the actual deadline. This is a solution they came up with. This is something that literally every other school said, oh my gosh, I can do that too, because it doesn't cost anything else. Someone just like me with the same resources as me came up with a great solution, and I can do that as well. So the key here was there are great bright spots out there, and we did not need to bring in a consultant. We didn't need to do a lot of extra design work. Let's start by seeing what's already working within the community.